Hi, it's Jay from Iridescent Tarot back with some more sparkle for you. And today is my May wrap up and she's back. I've had so much more fun with tarot this month than I did last month. April was the lull and May, it just brought me back up into a whole bunch of new decks and new practices, and I'm really excited about them. So let me share them with you. So I'll show you this in a little bit. Starting off at the beginning of the month, I got Tarot Obscura, which I did film a whole walkthrough of this deck. This is such a cool little guy. Little guy. He is very direct and unassuming, and I really like the balance of a lot going on in the images, but they speak clearly to me in readings. And so this has been a really fun one to get to know. I really enjoyed my time with this so far. The Oracle of Unknown Reasons came in, and this is so cool. It's very grungy and raw and real, but it's also kind of upbeat and just, it's like a little bit random, and I like that a lot about it. I feel like I never know what I'm gonna get. It's like life's a box of chocolates type feeling, where the card that gets pulled is just kind of whatever needs to be heard at that moment. And yeah, it's just been another one that was like a surprise hit in my eyes. I don't like this little baby. This might be my least favorite card, and it's too bad because I like everything except for the baby faces. So like, what's a girl to do? I did a walkthrough of this Gently Rising Affirmations deck. This has been a nice, another like open space, clear reader that if I feel like I need a little bit of like support, the name is perfect for it, Gently Rising. It just helps me like gently rise back up to the surface. And it's kind and supportive, and another like daily draw type deck where you just get a little note from the universe that's like, hey, everything's all right. And I've really liked that for this month. Mariana from Happening by Chance showed this deck in one of her videos, and the backs are everything. I love them. And then the purple edging. This is a pip deck that was created by a French creator, so obviously right up my alley. And I don't know, like the backs are super up my alley, but like this type of illustration style isn't super me. But then there's cards like this where I'm like, oh my God, I love everything about that. And I just had to see it in person. So I found a secondhand copy, and I've actually really been enjoying reading with this, which I wasn't sure how it was gonna go. I have been working my way through this. Look at how far I am. I'm almost done with Tarot on Earth. And every time that there's been a prompt lately asking to do practice readings, I've been pulling this deck for that book. And it's just been a really fun way to get to know the way that this deck reads. And it's a little bit more interesting and fun for me than just like a plain old Marseille. So I've been reading it Marseille style because it's kind of like a Marseille leaning deck, but at the same time, it's got a little flavor to it that it's just interesting. And yeah, when I first got the deck in, I sat and read through the little guide pamphlet, and I put French music on, and I just wanted to like imbue it with as much Frenchness as I could. And so that was just like a really fun little connecting moment with it. I'm really glad that she showed this. It was at the very end of one of her recent videos, and it was like a record scratch. I was like, oh, I need to find that. This is Tarot of the North Atlantic. I think I had seen this on NPC, but I don't know why it didn't like register that it was going to be so freaking cool. And then Shanna from Sincerely Shanna D recently included this in one of her videos, and I was like, oh my goodness, that is just absolutely stunning. It's all created from this like fabric collage type artwork that also has 3D elements. And what I wouldn't give to just be able to touch one of these tapestries in person. They're just, it's absolutely mind-boggling how much work would have gone into creating all of these individual pieces. I kind of sometimes imagine them as being like all part of one quilt. But yeah, this is another kind of pippy deck, but I don't know, I've been into the pip decks lately. I think Marseille really rewired my brain. This got the majority of the play for the month for me. I think this is the deck that I've used the most this month. And you know, I had to make a sparkly little tarot tube sock for my sparkly Thoth. So this is what I ended up picking. I've had this yarn sitting around forever and I never knew what I was gonna do with it, but I thought that it would be a nice match for my sparkle Thoth. Once I made this, I couldn't put it down. I was just so excited about just how glittery and sparkly and happy that it made me. And so it definitely reinvigorated my Thoth study. And so I'm gonna make a totally separate video on that, just to talk about some of my thoughts and conclusions and where I'm at with the Thoth right now. And because I connected so much with Thoth through this deck, I actually ended up bringing in Lennon Smith's Quintessential Thoth as well. And let me just clean this up. And because the keywords are cut off of this and they don't exist on Lennon's, I kind of just wrote them in with a white pen again. And so, you know, beyond modifying it by edging it and adding on the words, I haven't done too much work with this deck yet, but I like abstract decks. I like artwork decks, like artsy decks. And I think that this one has just so much color, and it's like supposed to be the quintessential of the essential of the Thoth, like the blood of the Thoth. And I'm excited to deepen my connection with original Thoth so that I can really like lay into the quintessentialness of this. I'm very excited about this like delicious smorgasbord of colors. So that can transition me into books, because I finished both of these books this month. And so that was a pretty heavy lift for me. I wasn't super far into either of them, and I'm glad that they're done. And like I said, keep your eye out for a full Thoth study wrap-up video, because I'll go into a lot of detail about my thoughts and feelings and everything about Thoth. Sasha Lopez from Numa Collective posted something on her Instagram including this book, and I was like, oh my god, that's so cute. And so I've seen little snippets of Pima just talking about certain Buddhist things in the past, but I never dove into any of her books or anything like that. So I thought this was a great little introduction. And the only thing was, when this came, her face was just like staring at me. And as I obviously have an issue with faces in tarot decks, where I'm like, I just don't want these people looking at me. Like, I don't want people that I can recognize in my decks. Apparently I feel that way about book covers too. So I had this little art sticker that I cut out and put over her picture, and then I used the leftovers of my contact paper just to make sure it wasn't going to lift up on the corners there. And then this was from Zeppelin Moon. This was like included in my order from her. So anyways, I am very happy with this little book, and I've started going through day by day, and I'm using that with the Mellow Schema Tarot, which this is like the pièce de résistance of all time. This is just an absolute treat to work with, and finally my Kickstarter fulfilled, and I've had a little bit of time to get to know this deck, and it's what finally pushed me over the edge to purchase my deck companion from Tegan from Animals and Arcana. And I've started the month-long process of connecting with my deck through her workbook, and I'm really loving it. Like, so far, this has been a very enjoyable practice that is allowing me to really forge a strong connection with Mellow Schema Tarot, and I'm just really happy to have this deck. I feel very lucky and grateful that such ingenious works of art and creations like this deck come to be in this world. I do worry that there's a tiny bit of some of the dots coming off. I'm not sure. I can't tell yet whether they are or aren't, but it's something that I'm keeping an eye out for, because I really love this deck and I don't want to see, I'm not going to be precious with it, but also I do think that the sparkles really like can add to the card meaning when you see them like overflowing from the cups and whatnot. So I hope that they're not, but TBD on that. The price of my deck companion was like way higher in the app, Patreon app, versus on desktop. That's just something to know, because I think the creator gets less money and it's like money that goes to Apple or whatever. So this really is the deck that I'm focusing on for the month of June, because the deck companion process is about a month long per deck. So while I'll still be working with some of my other decks, this is the one that's going to get the main focus of my attention, and I'm happy to do so with it. And I've been taking notes for that process in this notebook. This is one that I've had sitting on my shelf for a while that I didn't want to wreck with something stupid. And I felt like Mellow Schema really deserved like such a beautiful journal in order to go with its beautiful tactile experience and beautiful artwork. I'm going to flip through this deck while I talk about some other books here. I feel like I'm a little bit chaotic in my order here, but you'll see what you need to see. For audiobooks, I'm almost all the way done with The Zen of Therapy, Uncovering a Hidden Kindness in Life. What can I say about this? I think that it's more in line with what I expected from that book last month, the Jack Cornfield one that made it sound like it was going to be about therapy, but it really wasn't. So it's more in line with that. I will say though that some of the little like stories that he tells about scenarios do have me like scratching my head just a little bit. Like at the beginning of the book, he describes how he's going to talk about how some of his Buddhist beliefs and practices integrate into therapy, and was going to do so by using these little examples from practice. And then he'd like tell the story of what happened in practice, but then I didn't feel like the link between the story and whatever Buddhist like thought was underlying his like words and actions. I feel like he didn't finish making that link, and I just would have liked to see a little bit more of a like completion of the link between those two things. So I'm gonna finish it. I'm nearly done, but it's still not exactly what I was looking for. Now, I do have a couple of other book recommendations. Nicole from A Cottage Witch recommended anything from Thich Nhat Hanh, and so I downloaded No Mud, No Lotus. That's on my TBR. And then my brother-in-law recommended Why Buddhism is True, and so I have started that book. I'm just in the beginning couple of hours of that. It's okay so far. I'm still just like I'm looking for that book that's really just like makes it all click for me, and I'm not there yet. So we'll see. As for TV, my husband and I don't remember if I talked about this last month because I don't know when we watched it, but we watched one episode of that Battle of the Fates, which is a game show where they're basically having all these different shamans and tarot readers and different ways of divining, the future. People use their practice in order to like see who's the most correct. And so we watched one episode, and it was a little bit just like too chaotic for me. Like we spent a lot of time getting to know the people that were going to be on the show, but not a lot of time like actually reading the cards or showing the process of like how they were getting to their answers or anything. So I don't think that we're going to continue it, but it was still like an interesting and fun thing to do one night. Nonetheless. And then we started watching Animal Kingdom last night, and my gosh, that opening scene, I was like, oh, what is this? But by the end of the pilot episode, we were both like, okay, let's see where this goes. So that's potentially something that we're going to keep watching. I did mention a little Tarot Monet Amis update in my last video, the 10 decks never leaving my collection. It's minimal. The prototypes have been ordered, so those are going to be in production shortly, and I'll be able to finalize everything moving forward, and I think that's about it. So yeah, I really had a lot more tarot involvement in May than I did in April, and I'm happy about that. I don't like to force myself back to my practice, so I was very happy to see that it just naturally kind of floated along that way on its own. Please, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, all the things, and I will talk to you later. Signing out.